Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about a topic that's near and dear with this time now, with everything going on at Salesforce, is how can we tie together the multi-guided solutions of sales performance management, revenue cloud, and field service. For those of you that are unfamiliar with NeuroFlash, a little bit about us. So we are a boutique partner within the Salesforce ecosystem, a summit level partner. We've been around for quite a while, started first and foremost really as an AI shop. So things have come full circle with the new AI boom that we're all seeing these days. We support just about every cloud and solution across the Salesforce portfolio, outside of maybe Marketing Cloud and a handful of others. So we are truly a full stack Salesforce implementation partner. We have partnerships very heavily with AWS on the MuleSoft side and across the board as well to augment and support the broader enterprise systems that we service for our customers. Particularly for how we work with Salesforce the most, we like to think of ourselves as an extension of the Salesforce team. So where you need help with leading sales cycles, putting together demos, POVs around different industries, or how to tie things together, we're definitely prepared and able to handle just about all of those. We've got accelerators and quick starts for all of our solutions. We'll be speaking about a few of them today. And then where we particularly differentiate is on how we approach outcomes, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in this conversation. Here are panelists and presenters for today. So my name is Colin Pullums. I lead the commercial excellence group here at NeuroFlash, which is essentially all things sales cloud, revenue cloud, and a few industries. I've been in this space now for quite a while for all things revenue operations and performance across the board. I lead the practice and have been partnering pretty heavily with Ryan and the rest of the Salesforce folks as we really upskill and raise what we're doing across the SPM space. Joining on our side as well is Tim Long.
Thank you, Colin. My name is Tim Long, and I am helping to lead our field service sales efforts here at NeuroFlash. I've been here for just over a year, and before that had been 9+ years at Salesforce. This particular year, and relevant to this conversation, I also took on some responsibility to partner with Colin to help drive the SPM business here at NeuroFlash. Really excited to be with everybody today, and pass it off to Ryan.
Hey everyone, Ryan Fox here. I am an AVP at Salesforce on our sales performance management team. So I'm responsible for about half of the North American business with the SPM solutions this year. I've been at Salesforce for about 8 years now. I started as a core AE in our GB space, then in the enterprise space, and then became a first-line leader in about 2019 on the MAPS team. And I've been a second-line leader with the SPM team for about 3 years now. So I've known the NeuroFlash folks right around the time I started. They were one of our premier partners for Service Cloud, and they've been instrumental to the SPM team this year as one of our SPIF surge partners and helping us build out the SPIF go-to-market plans. They've helped with some of the POVs that we put together for the different OUs that they support. And they've helped us build out some demos and some cool things that we're going to see today. So excited about the conversation and happy to provide some context as we go through this presentation.
Thanks, Ryan, for joining us. So in the SPM space, we have done quite a lot historically before SPM all came together as one package solution in Salesforce. So Tim and myself have been on a lot of our implementations with territories and maps that really have been our springboard into the conversation. And for what we're talking about tying SPM with Revenue Cloud and Field Service is especially near for us. I myself sit on the Revenue Cloud Advisory Board. We also have representation on both the Sales and Field Service Advisory Boards. So they've been solution sets that we've been close to for quite a while. We have a lot of expertise within them, and we also present a lot of leadership within the space around them. Now, for today's conversation, we're going to talk about some trends that we've seen in the markets, and then we're going to show from our perspective how you can really tie sales planning, SPIF programs, field CPQ, and field service together to really win for your customers. And then we'll wrap up with how specifically we can help you on the Salesforce side really win some deals and have some Q&A. With that, I'll turn it over to Tim.
Thank you, Colin. We're going to speak just briefly here to some of the global trends in the market, and we're going to home in on what we're seeing with the mobile workforce, particularly. We can advance to the next slide here. We're talking to folks who have people in the field all the time, and they're challenged by three particular issues in their space today. We see many of our customers talking about the graying of their workforce. Their field technicians, their field workers are aging, and we saw this trend accelerate actually, the kind of movement out of the mobile workforce during the pandemic. And that has continued in the post-pandemic quite yet, but in the last few years, we continue to see that trend occurring, and that's had multiple impacts on the customers that we work with. They have difficulties finding the right talent. They have difficulties bringing new folks on board, and then the other two issues, in some ways, are intensified by the transitions and the turnover that we see in the workforce itself. Another critical issue for a lot of our customers is the balance that they're trying to strike between the focus on work execution or wrench time, that hands-on fix work or maintenance work or installation work that people are responsible for, counterbalanced and in some ways in tension with being able to capture quality data in the field. And for many of our customers, the field employee force is the eyes on the ground. They have the best information about customer behavior, about the assets that they may be servicing. And our customers want better data, and they want that data to be of high quality. So that kind of push-pull, that tension between ensuring that the work is being done and being done well, but also ensuring that good data is being brought back into the system of record, so that it can be used for things like AI, which Colin was talking about just a moment ago. And then finally, we're seeing in many parts of the service industry, field service industry, an intense pressure to move from pure cost center behaviors to more revenue producing behaviors in the field. And that actually contributes to some of that push-pull, that tension that I was talking about before. You have to equip folks with strong tools to do all of these things successfully. And we're convinced that Salesforce Field Service, along with other capabilities, absolutely set the table for addressing some of these concerns.
All right. And with that, let's look at actually how we think we can solve those concerns. So in our demo today, we're going to be showing you a multi-cloud approach for an organization that has a selling motion that exists out in the field. How they can use a combination of sales planning to really forecast and look at their business and structure their overall targets correctly. How they'll be using sales programs to upskill and make sure that their field is focusing on what the sales organization wants them to focus at the right time. How they're using Revenue Cloud and CPQ in order to actually put together a deal and execute that deal with the customer. How they're using overall the SPIF solution now to incentivize and track commissions and their performance against that deal that closes. And also how a field tech out in the field is going to work and support that customer after the deal closes, and also look at how they can be compensated on the back end as well.
We're going to start our demo journey today in the sales planning app. And here we'll delegate our assignments and then allocate the resources that we're creating for our sales plan. In sales planning and in building the hierarchies, you can do that one of two ways. You can either build directly from this page or import from a CSV file that you've already created. In this case, we've already created a CSV file that has our hierarchies in it. We have two primary hierarchies. We have two primary level one hierarchies, that's the USA and Canada. And we've chosen to differentiate them, showing some of the flexibility of sales planning. For the US, we've created secondary nodes by geo, and under Canada, we've created those nodes using industry titles. So we have an opportunity to review the content before we import it. Do that review, click import, and then we're immediately taken to the screen that demonstrates what our hierarchy build out looked like in our CSV file, but now it's directly within Salesforce. So this gives us power to be able to then begin building the real sales plan, building the full sales plan out. One of the first steps that we're going to take here is to ensure that we're able to assign the accounts that are associated with the appropriate territories. So we can see in the view at the top, the nodes that we created for our hierarchy. And down below, what we have are all of our accounts. And we're going to create an assignment rule that allows us to take the accounts that are in a particular area. We're going, since we established that we're geolocating our accounts, we're going to use area as the determination by which we're going to do our splits. And we're able to model this in real time. So we're going to select area here, click on split, and you'll see that now we've got all of our accounts split out by geographic territory in the United States. We're going to focus here on the Midwest territory and the accounts that are associated with that Midwest territory. And we now want to assign those to the hierarchy that we created that aligns to that. So for our node, we're going to select USA and Midwest. We're going to go ahead and apply that there, and we're able to see the difference. We're now able to see that we're moving those accounts into that appropriate node in our hierarchy. We have an opportunity to review our work, and then once that's done, we can click assign. We're going to start our demo journey today in the sales planning app. And here we're going to build our hierarchies, delegate our assignments, and then allocate the resources that we're creating for our sales plan. In sales planning and in building the hierarchies, you can do that one of two ways. You can either build directly from this page or import from a CSV file that you've already created. In this case, we've already created a CSV file that has our hierarchies in it. We have two primary hierarchies. We have two primary level one hierarchies. That's the USA and Canada. And we've chosen to differentiate them, showing some of the flexibility of sales planning. For the US, we've created secondary nodes by geo, and under Canada, we've created those nodes using industry titles. So we have an opportunity to review the content before we import it. We do that review, click import, and then we're immediately taken to the screen that demonstrates what our hierarchy build out looked like in our CSV file. But now it's directly within Salesforce. So this gives us the power to be able to then begin building the real sales plan, building the full sales plan out. One of the first steps that we're going to take here is to ensure that we're able to assign the accounts that are associated with the appropriate territories. So we can see in the view at the top, the nodes that we created for our hierarchy. And down below, what we have are all of our accounts. And we're going to create an assignment rule that allows us to take the accounts that are in a particular area. We're going, since we established that we're geolocating our accounts, we're going to use area as the determination by which we're going to do our splits. And we're able to model this in real time. So we're going to select area here, click on split, and you'll see that now we've got all of our accounts split out by geographic territory in the United States. We're going to focus here on the Midwest territory and the accounts that are associated with that Midwest territory. And we now want to assign those to the hierarchy that we created that aligns to that. So for our node, we're going to select USA and Midwest. And we're going to go ahead and apply that there. And we're able to see the difference. We're now able to see that we're moving those accounts into that appropriate node in our hierarchy. We have an opportunity to review our work. And then once that's done, we can click assign. Now that we've got our hierarchies built out and our accounts appropriately designated to the nodes that we've created in our hierarchies, we're going to create our sales plan. So we're building out a calendar year-based fiscal year 24 sales plan. And our sales plan is focused on accounts, as we saw earlier. You have the option in sales planning to add additional target objects that might be important for assignment purposes. But for our demonstration today, we're going to focus on accounts. And then for allocation metrics, we're going to select quota. And that's what we're going to spend the majority of the rest of this section speaking to. As you can see, you have the opportunity to use other allocation metrics. Again, we're going to stay focused on quota. And then we are going to go in and edit the plan. And this is where we're going to begin designating how we're going to allocate the quota across all of our primary and secondary nodes. Okay, so we show the entire quota amount. We can begin to make overrides here if necessary. We can do that either by gross amount or by a percentage. For our purposes, we're happy with the way that quota has been established. And we're going to equally distribute that across the two geographic nodes that we originally created. So we select both of those nodes and then click on allocate. And that allows us to come into a screen where we can make determinations about how we want to split quota across those nodes. For our purposes today, we're going to say equally distribute, but we could use a fixed amount, or we could even use a proportional amount based on another field's values. For our purposes today, we're going to use the entire quota amount and distribute that then equally across the two nodes that we created in our hierarchy. So our primary nodes are now accounted for from a quota perspective. That then gives us the opportunity to drill in and distribute and allocate quota across the secondary nodes, which in these cases are our US-based regions. And again, for simplicity's sake, we're going to go ahead and distribute these quota amounts equally across all of the nodes. And we're also going to permit the quota be distributed equally across all of the quarters in the fiscal year. So we click allocate. Those amounts then get distributed across all of those secondary nodes. And now we go ahead and publish our sales plan. And that brings us to our the screen that will allow us to review the work that we have already done. We can go in and look at the distributions that we have made, the allocations that we've made. We can now publish our plan. We're going to select territory management for our publication. If you wanted to, you could also export to CSV. And then we select the criteria that we are looking to have applied in our sales plan. And we select US and regional as the type of plan that we are putting into place. We click publish, and our sales plan has been successfully executed. But we've done a lot of the heavy lifting already. Our fiscal year 24 planning is going well. We've created our hierarchies. We've designated what accounts we want associated to which of our hierarchy nodes, and we've begun to distribute the quotas across the regions that we designated. How do we set up our sales teams for success? This is where Salesforce sales planning comes into effect. Sales planning is an application that allows us to create entire programs of enablement for our internal sellers. In sales planning, we click on new. We're going to go ahead and select internal enablement. In this context, we won't be focused on partner enablement for this particular example. We'll click on enablement, click next, and that brings us to a template page. Here we have all kinds of different sales programs that could be executed. And in this particular context, we're going to go ahead and click on a new enablement program and build from scratch. So we select that, click create, and that brings us to the page that allows us to begin creating a new sales program. Down the left-hand side, you see all of the key program items that will be available. Dig into some of these in a little bit more depth here in just a moment. But you can, for those of you who are familiar with building pages, lightning pages in Salesforce, it's a very similar process. You're going to select the criteria that you want to add to your program, drop it onto the page, and then begin building out that program. Here, we've already got several elements built into a program already that we can review and begin to solidify, if you will, for this program that we're building out. In the first example here, we're having people reference a document and giving them 2 days to complete that document. can also incorporate video content and provide videos for your salespeople to review so that they're clear on exactly what they need to execute so that the sales program is a complete success. And you'll see that each of these runs sequentially. So the program builds, it allows you to structure it in a way that's logical for your salespeople. They're getting all of the critical information that they need to be successful, including things like scheduling an event, like talking with your product manager. We know how important it is for salespeople to have direct access to the product team to understand exactly what it is that they're looking to have sold in the field. And then finally, we want to create action steps. We want to create a milestone that has criteria behind it that helps us to measure the success of the program that we've put in place. And so we're going to create the measure. We'll create a target for that measure, which in this case is the creation of 5 qualified opportunities. And we're going to set that program to launch. On the right-hand side here, we can also designate whether or not this is a program that can be self-enrolled for the user. And then once we've established all of the criteria and we're comfortable with it, we can save it, and then we publish our sales program.
All right. So at this point, we saw how operations set up our organization with sales planning and programs. Now we're going to flip to where an actual sales user is going to take what's been defined within the sales plan and the sales program, and they're going to begin to action out in the field. The user that we're going to be for Nexus Enterprises is Sean, who is our sales rep. Sean is relatively new to the organization, so Sean needs some help and assistance understanding what are the best ways to navigate deals and what are the best ways that he can move forward. By taking our sales plan that aligns with his goals, using SPIF, which is going to give him that real-time view of how his execution of a deal is going to impact his pay. And then with sales programs to actually work on that coaching and training in app and within the flow of work that he has so that he can move forward. It allows us to make sure that on the operations side, I'm setting up my field for success. And that as my individual reps, they're getting the information that they need at the right time while they're working with the customer.
So I've created my quote, and when I navigate to my quote, I can see in the right-hand panel a commission breakdown. I have commissions for multi-year commissions amount, in which case I've earned $0 towards. I have also estimated earnings for services new bookings, as well as hardware new bookings. I find this panel to be extremely helpful because essentially in real time, I can track my percentage attainment to quota and see generally how modifications to the quotes that I provide my customers directly impact my earnings, all right within Salesforce. So I don't have to navigate anywhere else in order to see the impact to my total earnings. So I'm going to go ahead now and add some products to my quote. And on my product selection screen, I'm going to both select my services as well as my hardware. Navigating to where we can configure our products, both of my bundles have been fully configured, and so therefore no changes are necessary. So I'll navigate to the quote line. And here I'm just taking a quick peek. Everything looks good, and I will go ahead and click save. What I really like about the commission estimator here on the right-hand side now is that you can see that there is a direct increase in my estimated earnings simply by adding both the services and the hardware products to my quote. I noticed also that I forgot to add my subscription term, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. Hit save. And now I see that I have a prompt encouraging me to enroll in a sales and enablement program. And I think I'm going to do this. I am somewhat new to the organization. I feel a little bit unsure of myself and exactly how I'm selling, just being new to this particular industry. And so I'm going to go ahead and auto-enroll. This was a feature my manager told me about, and he also encouraged it, especially if I noticed that my quota attainment was a little bit, my quota attainment pacing rather was a little bit farther away than it should be. So by selecting the radial dial button and choosing next, I see that I have automatically been enrolled in the sales engagement program, which gives me some peace of mind and comfort in knowing that I have some assistance. So I know I need to click on the guidance center here, and I see some additional resources that will help me achieve my quota for and my selling goals for the particular year. So I can see I have how to sell multi-term recurring services. I'm going to click on that because I have a recurring services deal, but I see that it's only 12 months as opposed to more than a year. So scrolling down, I can see a variety of different milestones and exercises like our target personas. I'm also really excited to see that I can watch demos. That helps me when I am here working from home. I can watch and view how another seller who's been successful has tried to accomplish the same thing, such as myself. I also notice there are some additional product talk tracks, which will help me. I've got the customer already sold on the product. So hopefully within there, there'll be some added commentary around how increasing a term to 24 months will be advantageous from a product perspective. Either way, I have tremendous peace of mind knowing that I have this library of resources at my disposal. Oh, I see, I click on target persona and I see a checkbox now next to that document, and the percentage of completion has progressed, as I can see here in this bar. So it definitely helps me visualize and understand where I am from all the different initiatives that I need to complete in order to be successful at selling this deal. So now I'm going to increase my subscription term to 24 months. I've gone through all of my sales enablement programs. I've spoken to my customer. They are on board. The sales enablements programs absolutely helped in negotiating a higher term, so much so that my customer has, in fact, accepted the revised quote. Also, I can see here that by changing the term, I now have an increase in my multi-year commissions. So not only did was I equipped with the knowledge on how to sell the increase, I also have an incremental bump in my take-home pay, estimated take-home pay. So because my customer has accepted my quote, I am going to change the status to accepted. And navigate to the order to take a quick peek before initiating the handoff to operations to fulfill these products. So I can see that everything created accurately. So I'm going to go ahead and activate my quote. And there we go. On to the next. Now, I want to go ahead and take an overall look at my performance for the year. And I have logged into SPIF. And first and foremost, when I take a look at the different key metrics that I am provided, it is super helpful to have keep KPIs front and center to give me an immediate pulse check on my performance. So I can see that I am at 77% of my quota attainment, which given this time of year, I feel very confident that I will be able to exceed my quota. And I've already earned President's Club eligibility just with my current performance. As I scroll down, I can see a line itemization of the different eligible opportunities that have accumulated and are contributing to my $7,500 payout that I currently have earned. This logging into SPIF is a super helpful way for me to be able to get a really good understanding of how I am performing for the quarter and for the year.
We're on to vignette number 3 here. We introduce Sebastian's service. Sebastian's company has recently implemented a program whereby field technicians are incentivized for 2 things. 1, successful completion of work orders without any rework. And that includes capturing all the relevant data points that are associated with getting the work completed. And or upsell. We're looking to have our field technicians upsell service contracts in the field. We want to provide an easy way for that to happen. And we want to make sure that they're being compensated when they do that work. So let's go ahead and launch into the mobile capabilities that are available that make it easy for Sebastian to execute this type of work. And here we see the field service mobile app. Sebastian is one of our company's best technicians. And on this mobile app, he has available to him everything that he needs at his fingertips, including the ability to upsell, but also, of course, the ability to complete his work quickly and efficiently without a lot of unnecessary extra effort on his part. So we saw on that first screen the work that Sebastian had for the day. And here we see one of the appointments that Sebastian is going to be completing for our customer. And this portion of the screen gives all the key information that Sebastian needs to know about that appointment. Who the contact people are, details about the work that has to be completed, the company for which he's completing it, information about travel time, and all of the good things that we know come with the field service application. But we're looking to ensure that Sebastian has at his fingertips the ability also to cross-sell and upsell. And here we're launching a new opportunity for Sebastian to ensure that this great work that has been completed on site for this customer can be captured as an opportunity that can then be reviewed by the back office for execution as a new contract with this particular customer. So in just a couple of taps, Sebastian is able to open a new opportunity, provide some high-level information that would be incorporated to execute a service contract. And then once all of that is completed, we can go ahead and tap submit. And whether online or offline, all of this data is going to be captured and offered back to the home office for review. And this then sets into motion the capability for the home office to execute that service contract, and then ultimately for Sebastian to be compensated for that. And if the customer needs, in the moment, if you will, in real time, information about the work that has been completed and the execution of that service contract for them, Sebastian can execute that by completing a work order line item. And that work order line item can then be incorporated into the service report that Sebastian completes for the customer's review and signature. After Sebastian has completed his day, he goes home and he checks to see what the progress is that he's been making with all the work that he's been doing in the field. He logs into his SPF dashboard, and here he can see the total amount of his earnings from all of the work orders that he's completed. That's numbering 79 already. And the number of upsell opportunities he's managed to close. That's showing 22. And not only does the dashboard show Sebastian the commissions that he's earned, it also breaks down all those commissionable events by the accounts associated with them. So if he needs to double check the information, he has any questions about how that compensation has been calculated, he has this information available at his fingertips right in the dashboard. Sebastian's happy that his good work is being rewarded.
So now we're going to flip to, once our sellers and our service technicians have completed their work, we're going to flip to how a leadership and an executive benefits from all of this. So I'm going to be playing Lauren, who's one of the leaders at Nexus Enterprises. And Lauren has struggled recently with truly understanding what is happening across all of her different teams and fields and how she can report on that effectively. By having the quoting, ICM, all SPM, and the service elements all on the Salesforce platform, Lauren has the ability to really look at her organization and what's going on at the pulse of what's happening. Particularly for Lauren, what Lauren wants is to be able to log in every single day and just get a quick pulse of her organization. By having all of this within the Salesforce platform, we're able to build that for directly when she starts her day. She's able to see all of the metrics that are important to her based off of sales, quoting, the field service elements, and then what's happening on the backside of the operations offices. What Lauren is ultimately going to be gaining from
now that my field has executed for my customer, I'm now logged in as a leader within the organization. And right here on my homepage, I have all the data points that I need between SPM, SPIF, Revenue Cloud, and field service products to make the decisions for my organization. Right at the top, because we have such a heavy focus on variable compensation, I've configured my dashboard where I can see my commission and variable compensation metrics every time I log into my home screen. This helps me as a leader to stay on the pulse of what's going on within my organization and the performance of my group. On top of this, because our overall solution is blended with multiple clouds, I can combine them all here in Salesforce to get one view of everything. So where we had our sales program, I can also see the revenue attribution of how our team is actually using it and how much revenue is generating from our sales program. I can also see upsells this quarter. And because we want to really incentivize our field and track how our field is upselling, I can see that as well as any other metrics that I would need as a leader within the organization using the combined suite of products. The power ultimately is that I can make decisions quickly and effectively with all the data points that I need right here in one place, knowing that my field is using the combined suite of SPM, field service, and cloud.
All right.
We're going to start our demo journey.
So with that, we've shown how you can combine all the different tech
We're going to
stacks
start our
together.
demo journey today in the sales plan.
1 second. Technical difficulties. So we've seen how they all function together. Now I want to talk about specifically how we can help you with your customers, understanding that cross-cloud story, understanding how we can win deals together, and understanding ultimately how we can elevate that story of Salesforce and different solutions being better together. I'm going to turn it over for a bit before we go into our offerings to Ryan. Ryan, if you can speak a little bit at all on your experience of how you've really worked with us and how we can work with your teams.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, I've been working with the NeuroFlash team for about the 8 years that I've been here, and in my experience, they've just been a phenomenal partner. Most recently with the SPM team, we're going to see some of the assets that they've built, but they've really dug in to help identify and create points of use for specific industries or sub-industries within the verticals, specific plays on how like SPIF can tie in with CPQ and what customer targets to go after. They've been really good at jumping in on deals early and often to help with discovery, help build out demos. And as Colin mentioned before, they have this outcome-based approach, which really is where they co-invest in our customer success. There's no other partner that has that outcomes-based approach where the customer doesn't pay unless they actually deliver on the solutions that they're setting up. And so there's a number of ways that you can bring them in, but I would say bring them in early and often into deals. They can bring thought leadership into those conversations and really help you progress the deal and help you win in any scenario that you may be in. So they're extremely valuable. They've got tons of resources across every OU with different types of expertise that can help you depending on what type of customer that you're going after. And then if you need help with, custom demos and stuff like that, they're absolutely there to help and support in that way as well.
Absolutely. And some specifics. One of the ways that we really look at our partnership with Salesforce, again, is that we are an extension of the Salesforce team. A lot of our offerings, plays, perspectives comes from conversations we have with you all and with our customers. Because we are not a GSI, we're still relatively small and nimble. So we've had multiple instances where, an AE or an RVP have reached out saying, hey, I really need a perspective on how we can tie SPM with the contact center. How CPQ can be empowered better for usage, whatever it might be. And we're able to put together our perspectives, demos, and offerings within days, not weeks. So we're pretty quick and nimble. For any support that you would need for these products, feel free to reach out to myself or Tim. But across the board, we've put together foundation packages for all of the products that we've talked about today. So everything within the SPM stack, we have multiple offerings on field service, multiple offerings on SPIF now and Revenue Cloud. We'll send this out afterwards as well so that you all can reference them for your customers. But also, again, if there's something that you need that you haven't gotten yet, just let us know and we can easily put something together. Outside of that, any questions for the team while we're here? We got a few that we will respond to. We'll send you out some responses from there. But outside of that, thank you for your time today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either myself or Tim. Here's our contact information. Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us and working with us so far. It's been an absolutely great partnership. And with that, we'll wish all you all well and hope to speak with you soon.